Good evening. Om Bhadrang Karnebhi Srinvama Devaha Bhadrang Pasye Makshabhirjajatraha Sthirairangai Istustuvagung Sastanuvihi Vasema Devahitam Jadayuhu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we hear with our ears what is auspicious. May we see with our eyes what is beneficial. May we sing praises to the Lord and enjoy His strong limbs and body, the life assigned to us by Him. Om, peace, peace, peace. Welcome everyone to this evening's special lecture by Swami Sarvapriyananda. Swami Sarvapriyananda has been the minister and spiritual leader of Vedanta Society of New York since January 2017. He joined the Ramakrishna Math in 1994 and received monastic vows in 2004. He served as a teacher of the monastic probationers training center at Belur Math, India. He also served in various capacities in different educational institutions of the Ramakrishna Mission in India and as the assistant minister of the Vedanta Society of Southern California, Hollywood. Swami Sarvapriyananda is a well-known speaker on Vedanta, and his talks are extremely popular globally via internet. He has been a speaker of various prestigious forums such as TEDx, SAN, Google Talks, etc. He has been invited to speak at several universities across the world, including Harvard University. The Swami has engaged in dialogue with many eminent thinkers such as Deepak Chopra, Rupert Spira, Rick Archer, David Chalmers, and Sam Harris. He has played a prominent role in organizing and participating in various interfaith panels and seminars, including speaking at the World Parliament Religions in Toronto in 2018, at the United Nations headquarters in New York also. And some of his talks, like Who Am I, What is Vedanta, and Dissolve into Infinity, they are available in Amazon Kindle. And we are very happy. It is a joyous occasion, and I welcome Swami Sarvapriyananda. The subject of his talk is Oneness. And after the talk, he will take questions for a few minutes. And also our bookstore will remain open after the talk for about half an hour. So I welcome Swami Sarvapriyananda to present his talk. Okay. Now, special request. Please check your cell phones and double check that they are turned off.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good evening, everybody. Namaste. I offer my pranams to Revered Swami Prapannanandaji Maharaj. Greetings to dear Swami Ishadhyanandaji Maharaj. And namaste and welcome to all of you who are here. I see some familiar faces and lots of new faces, which is always wonderful. It's great to come back to Sacramento. it's also connected with the memory of Swami Ashokanandaji. And I really grew up reading books of Swami Ashokanandaji, his lectures which were compiled into books. I think that is one of the sources of my interest in Vedanta. The subject this evening, actually, when Swami Vivekananda says, what is Vedanta? He says, Vedanta is basically the divinity within ourselves and the oneness of all existence. So that oneness of all existence, this is a theme. It's a big theme. It's a profound theme. But I was just talking to our Swami Ishad Dhyananandaji this morning, that do you remember when we became monks, one of the vows which we took was, in Sanskrit, it goes like this, Brihad Vade Masuviraha. Let us speak of great things from now on. Now that we have become monks, now that we are sannyasis, from now on let us speak of great things. Let us speak of the vast. Let us not speak of anything small or petty or mundane from now on. What a wonderful view, to think about the vast, to speak about the vast. Nothing small, nothing petty. Well, we have taken up a big theme this evening, the theme of the oneness of all existence. To set things in context, Swami Vivekananda, he says the teaching of religions, things like all is God. When I speak about oneness, most people who have been coming to Vedanta will say, I know what he's going to talk about. It's all Brahman, it's all the absolute, it is all God, it's all divine. I already know that. That's true. We do know it. We have been hearing this all the time. But the thing is how to understand it and make it practical in our lives. Swami Vivekananda says the teachings of religions are well known. But the way it is put, he gives a very humorous little anecdote of a man. He was troubled by a mosquito, and his friend came forward to help him, and the mosquito settled on the man's forehead. This friend came and gave such a whack to the man's forehead that the mosquito died, but the man also died. And Vivekananda says that the religions of the world, the advice they give seems to be similarly suicidal. It says that God exists, keep your mind on God, and turn away from worldly pleasures and enjoyment and worldly relationships and worldly goals. Turn away from worldliness. But the problem is, this so-called worldliness which we are supposed to turn away from, that's all we know. This is the world we know. Here are people, here is I, myself, this body, this person, this is who I am. And these are the people in my life. This is the work that I do. These are the ambitions I have. This is my little story of pleasure and pain, my memories. If all of these have to be turned away from, and to aim for a God, a Brahman, an ultimate spiritual reality, which seems theoretical to me, that which is in my hand, that which I see and experience every day, if I have to turn away from it and look for something which has been taught to me, which I read about, I listen to it about it in lectures, it does not seem very feasible, does not seem very practical. Swami Vivekananda, he says this is, we have to go a little deeper into this question of spirituality and renunciation. And he says, renounce the world, catch hold of God. What does it really mean? He, it's very interesting that how this was very meaningful and impactful in my life. This was about 21 years ago. I was a newly minted monk. I had just become a sannyasi. And I had gone off to the Himalayas. My idea was, the higher you go physically, altitude, the more spiritual you become. So I left our monastery behind and I went off to the Himalayas and I climbed up to about 9,000, 10,000 feet there. And I spent 2 months more or less there in meditation and prayer. I had a very good time. I really enjoyed this. It was very beneficial for my spiritual life. And I decided this is wonderful. This is what I will do. I was on my way back and I decided I will come every year and spend 2 or 3 months in this way, as high as I can go in a cave or a hut. I didn't live in a cave, but I lived in a hut. But I met monks who lived in caves. I met a monk who lived in a hole under the ground on the bank of the river Ganga. about 10,000 feet high. I said, why are you living in a hole? There's a nice big cave there, but why don't you go and stay? We had to crawl into that hole. I and another friend, a monastic friend of mine, to meet this monk, we had to crawl into that hole on all fours. I said, why are you living like this? Why don't you live in that cave? That's a very nice cave up there. He said, I want to, but apparently there's a bear who's exercising his squatter's rights there. And the bear is kind of a bully. And that's why he lives in the hole, and he can't live in the cave. So I lived like not in a hole or a cave, but in a hut. And I derived benefit from it. And I thought, this is the way to go. This is what I'm going to do from now on. And on my way back, I was in our cottage in a Himalayan center, a place called Uttar Kashi. And we monks we have to go and beg for our food and then come back to the cottage. It sounds more arduous than it really is. There, monks are given food in a particular place. You just have to line up there with your, not literally a begging bowl, but anyway, something like that. It's quite funny sometimes. You see on the bank of the Ganga, you'll see on the place where the food is given to monks, there will be a line of begging bowls. No monks around, just the begging bowls on the ground. So they have taken their place in the queue. They've kept their bowl there. Then they are sitting on the bank of the Ganga, like relaxing until the time for the food comes. But their place is secure because the begging bowl is there in queue. So I had come back. I was relaxing, reading Swami Vivekananda. And then I read, he who goes off to the Himalayas to meditate and die there has missed the way. I sat up, I still remember 21 years ago. It's literally as if he was talking about me. Has missed the way. And he who plunges into the foolishness of life, into the vanities of life, into the luxuries, into the pleasure seeking of life, he too has missed the way. Now this is even more curious, because we think in terms of binaries. Either this world or some spiritual life. Either you're worldly or you're spiritual. What other way is there? If both are, you've missed the way, then what is there? Then what is the way? And then Vivekananda explains. The way is to divinize life itself. To see God in those around you, in the work that you do, in the things around you, in all movements of life. In fact, Vivekananda says, my mission in life can be put in a few words. It is to preach unto humanity their inner divinity and how to manifest it in every movement of life. So, whatever we are doing in life, whoever we are with, whatever objects and things surround us, to see the divinity in all of that. His master, Sri Ramakrishna, put it in even simpler terms. He who has it here, has it there too. He who does not have it here, will not have it there too. Now here and there you can put whatever, X and Y. You can put householder life and spiritual and monastic life. You can put the plains of India and the Himalayas. If you have that spiritual vision here, you'll have it everywhere. And if you do not have it here, you will have it nowhere. It is not that people cannot be spiritual in the Himalayas. Of course they can be. I have personally met, and we know of so many great saints and yogis in the mountains. It's a very spiritual place. But the point must not be misunderstood. The point is, it is a realization of something which is always available to us, which is available everywhere to us. And that constitutes spiritual realization. That one existence everywhere. Let me dwell a little bit. I promised to speak about big things, the biggest of all things. Advaita Vedanta talks about an ultimate reality, Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. Let me make a few observations I'll share. And these are not mine, they're brilliant, they're amazing, but they're not mine. I'm just translating from Hindi what I have heard monks talk about, It's in the texts, but the way the monks put it, it's very striking. So, here is an insight which I had. I can claim this insight. The insight I had was just a couple of years back. The greatest questions that humanity has ever conceived of, the questions of philosophy. One question is, what is real? Question of reality. Does God exist? Is the world real? What is real? Is there something called heaven? So this, what is real, this question about what is real is answered or discussed in a branch of philosophy called metaphysics. Nowadays there's a more fancy term, they call it ontology, from the Greek ontos, which means being or existence. So this is metaphysics. What is real? Immediately it leads to the second big question. If you say things like, I think God is real, immediately the question will be, how do you know? Justify your claim. So this question about knowledge, how do you know anything? How do you justify the things that we speak about in science, in common day-to-day life, in philosophy, in spirituality? So this is studied in a branch of philosophy called epistemology, the study of knowledge. And finally, there is a big question about beauty, good and bad, the point of it all. What is the point of all of this? Is there a point at all? What can we expect in life? What's the best possible life? What is right? What is wrong? What is beautiful? So these were studied in different branches of philosophy called ethics, called aesthetics. So all of them now have been combined. There is a term which has become more popular recently. It's called axiology, the study of values. Study of values. So 3 questions. What is real? Ontology. How do you know anything? Epistemology. And what's the point of it all? What is good? What is bad? All of these things. Axiology, study of values. Now just connected to the Vedantic conception of the ultimate reality. Sat, chit, ananda. Existence, consciousness, bliss. What is real? And you immediately see Vedanta says there is something called ultimate existence, sat, being. That is reality. All reality depends on that. How do you know anything? All knowledge and experience is made possible because of consciousness, chit. And what is the point of it all? Again the answer, ananda, bliss. Now, this is not a proof or an argument. I'm just stating the claim of Vedanta. But just see the vision, the grand vision of Vedanta. The answers to the 3 deepest questions in philosophy, the greatest, the deepest questions that humanity has ever conceived of, from ancient times till today. And all the answers are put in that phrase, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Existence, consciousness, bliss. Not only that, Vedanta goes further and says, this existence, consciousness, bliss are not 3 different things. It is that same reality, which is absolute being itself, Sat, which is pure consciousness itself, Chit, and which is Ananda, bliss itself. So Sat, Chit, Ananda is one reality, not 3 realities. There is this American theologian, Christian theologian. He has written a book, The Experience of God as Being, Consciousness, Bliss. And he says, what is his name? I'm forgetting. It'll come back. So he says there that the most profound conception of God that you can come across, that book is actually a polemical reply to the new atheists. One of them, Maharaj mentioned Sam Harris, but also Richard Dawkins. There was also Christopher Hitchens. There was also Daniel Dennett, who passed away recently. Christopher Hitchens also passed away a few years back. So in reply to them, and he says there that when you argue, when you want to learn science, for example, you don't go and talk to a school kid, you talk to a scientist. So when you want to argue against religion, then you talk to somebody who is well versed in the depths of it. You talk to a professional, a theologian, a philosopher. And what is the deepest and most profound conception of God? And he says it is existence, consciousness, bliss. And he says this idea is there in all the major religions of the world. If you dig deep enough, you will find it in Christianity. You will find it in Islam. You will find it in Judaism. You will find it in Buddhism in different ways. You will find it in all the major religious traditions of the world. And then he says, except that it is most clear in the Vedanta of Hinduism. And therefore in his book, You will see the chapters are called the Sanskrit names. Chapter, Sat, Chit, Ananda. There are 3 different chapters. Existence, consciousness, bliss. So Vedanta claims this existence, consciousness, bliss is one reality. And that one reality is the answer to the 3 great questions of philosophy. And this one reality is what Vivekananda says, you see this divinity everywhere. Further observations on Sat, Chit, Ananda. Just I will share a few very interesting observations without much argumentation. This one reality is the first of all things. What do I mean by that? I'm quoting from Mundaka Upanishad. Brahma Vidya Sarva Vidya Pratishtham. It is the foundation of all sciences. It is the first of all things. What do I mean by that? It is existence first and then all existing things. What do I mean by that? It's like this. Suppose you talk about golden ornaments. Ornaments, necklaces, bracelets, rings made of gold. It's like saying gold first, then ornaments. Gold is not another kind of ornament. It is the reality, the substance out of which all these ornaments are made. Similarly, Sat is the reality out of which all real things are made. So all real entities in the universe, God, Brahman, Satchidananda is not one more item in an inventory of items. If you make a list of things in the universe, will you come across, here is Brahman, I found it. It is in this list, it's number so and so, number 47. It's not like that. It is the reality, just like gold is the reality of all golden ornaments. Similarly, Sat is the reality. So first Sat, first being, first existence, then existing things. First reality itself, then real things. Then second, Chit. It is first consciousness, then conscious experiences. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, perceptions, judgment, memories, all conscious experiences, pain, pleasure. First consciousness itself, then conscious experiences. And third, very interesting, Ananda. Vedanta claims first it is that ocean of Ananda, an ocean of bliss, which is then experienced as all kinds of happiness and pleasure and joy. From the joy of eating a cookie, to the joy of classical music, to the peace and bliss of meditation, all of them, Shankaracharya says, they are like waves in the ocean of bliss which you are. So this is one of the first observations, that it is that Satchidananda first, then all real things, then all conscious experiences, and then all forms of happiness. But first, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Second, Satchidananda is limitless or infinite. What does that mean? It is not any particular limited being, not a limited entity which is Satchidananda. All things are Satchidananda. The Sat being is not limited to one thing. That this is Sat and that's something else. No, all that something else is also that Sat. Chit is not one limited conscious experience which comes and goes. A flash of pain, a burst of pleasure, a thought, an idea which comes and goes. Not like that. It is unlimited consciousness. Bliss, it is not a particular joy. Rather, all joys are that bliss. So similarly, Sat Chidananda is infinite, ananta, not limited. That's another observation. And the third observation is that Sat Chidananda is oneness. Where cause and effect are one. Where the ground and that which is on the ground is one. See, I'm translating from Hindi. Those who understand Hindi will see what I'm saying. The original language I heard was, Jahan karya karan ek hai, jahan adhar adheya ek hai. That is Sat. What do I mean by that? Usually cause and effect are two different things. A seed becomes a plant. Wood is made into the table. So some change is done. Some kind of movement from the cause to the effect. But when you say cause and effect are one, what it means is it is something beyond causality. What was there in the cause is also equally there in the effect with no difference whatsoever. That means there is no ultimate change in that reality. There is it's basically that existence is beyond causality. That's what is being said. So cause and effect, where cause and effect are one, that is Sat. Where the seer and the seen, the experiencer and the experienced are one. Again, I'm translating from Hindi. Jahan drashta aur drishya ek hai. Usually when I am the seer and this is the seen, they're different. I am the experiencer, this is the experience, they're different. Two different entities. But they are one. How they are one, we will see later on. This is the theme of this evening. But they are one. That is chit. And where the enjoyer and the enjoyed become one, that is ananda, bliss. Bhogya or bhokta or bhogya ek hai. That is ananda. It sounds better in Hindi actually. So this is the grand theme of oneness, where the cause and effect become one. Where the ground and that which is imposed on the ground, they become one. That is Sat, being itself. Where the experiencer and the experienced, consciousness and its object are one. Where the enjoyer and the enjoyed are one. That grand, ultimate, absolute oneness is what we are talking about. All this sounds very abstract. Don't worry. We will go deeper into it. It will become more and more clear as we go into it. So I made these few points, I think 3 or 4 points about Satchidananda. What are the points? A good recap here. Satchidananda is the answer to the 3 great questions of philosophy. What is real? How do you know? And what's the point of it all? Answer: Sat, Chit, Ananda. Satchidananda is the first of all things. First Sat, existence, then all existing things. First Chit, consciousness, then all conscious experiences. First Ananda, bliss itself, then all pleasurable, happy, fulfilling experiences, aesthetic experiences. Then Satchidananda is infinite. It is not one limited thing. All things are pervaded by Sat existence. All conscious experiences are pervaded by Chit consciousness. All blissful experiences are pervaded by Ananda, or bliss. It is limitless. In Sanskrit, Ananta, one word. That is the third point. The fourth point I made was the most important one, about oneness. Where cause and effect become one, that is Sat. Where the seer and the seen become one, that is Chit. Where the consumer and the consumed, the enjoyer and the enjoyed, they are one, that is Ananda. So Satchidananda. Oneness. Okay, that was just an observation, by the way. Now we go deeper into this. This oneness, the seeing God in everything, that is what Swami Vivekananda says. Not only in the Himalayas, but everywhere. Whether you are in the Himalayas or in the plains of India, you see same Brahman everywhere. The one who has it here will have it there. The one who does not see it here will not see it there also. This is a theme from one of the greatest of Upanishads, the Isha Upanishad. In the Isha Upanishad, the first mantra of the Isha Upanishad, very famous. It seems Mahatma Gandhi said that if all the texts of Hindus were to disappear today, and only the first line of the Isha Upanishad remains, all of Hinduism also will still remain. What is that amazing mantra? Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha ma grira kasya svidhanam. Pervade all this, cover all this, the moving and the non-moving. All this means whatever we are experiencing, our entire life, cover it by God, by Isha. The word used is Isha. It literally means God, the supreme controller of the entire universe. Cover it by God. What does that mean? Cover everything by God? Shankaracharya, in his commentary, he makes 2 remarkable movements. He says, first of all, covering everything by God means uncovering. Because it's not that Here is a world, now you have to put a cloth over it, just like you put a cloth and cover your bed, not like a bed sheet covering the bed. No. God is already there. The divinity is already here. You have to uncover it. How do you uncover God in this world? He says you have to discover it. Discover. So cover everything by God is equal to uncover the already existing God, is to discover the existing God. Discover always means when you discover something, what do? You inquire into it. You look into it. You can see how he's preparing the way of knowledge, jnana yoga, the yoga of knowledge. Yoga of knowledge is inquiry, vichara, inquiry. You have to inquire into it. He gives a very nice example. He says, sometimes sandalwood, which is used in temple worship, if you leave it in water too long, it acquires a certain sludge covering over it, which is it doesn't smell nice. But for that, to recover the original beautiful smell of sandalwood, you don't have to spray sandalwood spray on top of it. What you do is scrape it off, rub, scrape, until the underlying original existing fragrance of sandalwood becomes manifest once more. Similarly, our delusion about this world, our misconception about this world, our error of this world, what do you have to do? Scrub until the underlying Brahman, the existence, consciousness, bliss becomes manifest. So this is the idea, this is one movement that Shankaracharya makes. And then in his commentary, I'm translating or I'm summarizing his commentary, Bhashya, on the Ishopanishad, first line. The second interesting move he makes is, the word used in the original Upanishad is Isha, which means God. And Shankaracharya says, this Isha, by God. Cover everything by God. He says Isha is equal to Paramatmana, by the Supreme Self. Well, we can translate God as the Supreme Self. No objection there. Shankaracharya does not make a move without a reason. The next reason is it's a slippery slope. Once you have said God is the Supreme Self, then the next step he says, this Paramatmana, by the Supreme Self, the next word he uses is Swena Atmana, by your own self. So to cover everything by God is equal to cover everything by yourself. Well, that is a huge move he has made. We'll see more of that later. Now, covering everything by God, to see the divinity in all beings, to see the one radiant existence, consciousness, bliss everywhere, in everything. That oneness is the theme of our talk today, what we are trying to discover. But there's an obvious problem here. All this is nice, but our experience is not of oneness. Our experience is of difference. How will I see the chair and the person sitting on the chair as one? How come? It's not possible. How do I see the lectern and the carpet as one? How do I see the human being and the animal and the plant and the rocks and the air and the sky and the water as one? They are so obviously different. Let me introduce a technical term here, a Sanskrit term, Vastu Paricheda. Vastu means object. Any object. Any reality is called Vastu. Paricheda means limitation. Limitation. What does Vastu Paricheda mean? Object limitation. What does it mean? It sounds abstract, but it's pretty simple actually. What it means is every object by being itself excludes everything else. In logic, this is called the law of identity. If A is A, then it's different from everything else. It's different from B, C, D, E, F, G, H. It's different from everything else. The idea of identity. I am me. I am this person. I have my own social security number, which is different from everybody else's number. This makes me a unique individual. But then Vedanta has an interesting way of looking at it. Yes, but by becoming a unique individual, you have become very small. How so? You are just yourself and nothing else. This phone is this phone. You'll say, so what? But it is not the table. It's not the paper. It's not the Swami. It's not even another phone. It is this phone only. Isn't it very small then? By being itself, it excludes everything else in the universe. That's how it gets its own small identity. This is called object limitation. Looked in one way, it's a limitation. What are you? Only you. Are you him or her or that or this? No, I'm just me. In that case, you have excluded the entire universe. You have limited yourself in one body, one personality, one little being. And you are different from everything in this universe. This is a Sanskrit term for this, vastu paricheda. And if you want to establish oneness, that all things are one reality, call it Brahman, Satchidananda, whatever you want to call it, what we are trying to do is called vastu paricheda nishedha, the negation of this object limitation. We're trying to overcome this object limitation. Not that everything will finally become one undistinguishable, homogeneous sludge. No. After this lecture, everything will still be the same. You will look like yourself. Everybody around you will look like yourself. Your car will still be out there. Everything will be different. And the universe will still appear the same. But what Vedanta wants us to appreciate is, even while things appear different and they work as they are supposed to work, things are just the same in the universe, yet we know they are one reality. How do you do that? How do you negate the obvious differences in everything? How do you find out a oneness which is not at all obvious? It's beautiful to see the one divinity in all beings, cover everything by Brahman, by Isha, discover God in everything, that one reality everywhere, the oneness of our existence. That's beautiful. But how? What you are seeking to do in logical terms is this negation of object limitation. Vastu paricheda nishedha. Is it getting very heavy? Good, because it's going to get heavier now. Now, where is this oneness? If we go a little further in the Ishopanishad itself, if we go to the 6th and the 7th mantras, if we jump ahead, the answer is there. The key to this. I understand, you have to see oneness. What oneness? Where are we to find it? All this sounds abstract. Make it practical. Show me that oneness. And the 6th and 7th mantras, they say the same thing. What do they say? Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmanyeva anupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tatona vijugupsate. What does it mean? In that realization, Shankaracharya says, Yasmin kale, at that moment of realization, what happens when you become enlightened? What do you see? The enlightened one sees all beings in the self. All beings in the self. Right now, what do we see? I am myself, and you're all excluded. Nobody's invited. You're all out there. I am just me. But the enlightened one sees that all beings are in me. All beings in the self. Clearly, it does not mean the body. Bodies are all different. So in what self are we talking about? That is the question. And then, the self in all beings. Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam. In all beings, you see yourself. Right now in you, I see you. In myself, I see myself. We are different. But the enlightened one sees oneself in all beings, in each of us. The enlightened one sees that. And the result of that is also mentioned. Tatona vijugupsate. Then that one does not hate anyone. You cannot hate. Cannot discriminate. Cannot shun. Cannot exclude anymore. Just as you would not hate yourself. You do not fight. You do not want to destroy yourself. You feel one with yourself. In the same way, you would feel one with everybody, without any exception. I mean, just consider what that life will be like. Vivekananda, here in this country, when he comes, he meets this great public orator, Robert Ingersoll. He was well known as the Great Agnostic. Yale University Press published a book a few years ago, The Great Agnostic, Robert Ingersoll. And he was a famous public orator. That was a thing in those days. TED Talk like that, except the TED Talks are 20 minutes, that those talks would be 1 or 2 or 3 hours. That was entertainment at that time. And Ingersoll did not believe in religion or spirituality. And he said to Vivekananda, all this, what you're talking about, I don't believe in it. This life is all we have. And I want to squeeze the orange of this life and get every drop from it. That's all I want. Vivekananda said, I believe that too. But I know a better way of squeezing the orange. He also added, we just differ in our choice of fruit. For me, it's a mango. But I know a better way of squeezing the orange, squeezing the fruit. I know a better way. I know that I cannot die. Therefore, I am not in a hurry. I am not afraid. I love all beings as God. Imagine the joy of loving all beings as God. Live, he says, squeeze your orange in this way and get 10,000-fold more. I'm quoting Vivekananda exactly here. Get 10,000-fold more. Get every single drop. This is the result of seeing this oneness. It's not just a theoretical quest. It is the most tremendous thing that one can experience. And then the Upanishad goes on in the 7th mantra to say, Yastu sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanata tatra komoha kashoka ekatvam anupashyata. When the enlightened one, for that enlightened one, the entire universe has become their own self. Then it says, what is the result of this? What sorrow can there be anymore? What delusion can there be anymore for the one who sees oneness? This is our theme this evening. Now we are going to take a deep dive into this. Try to understand. What is this oneness? How is this oneness accomplished? In technical terms, vastu paricheda nisheda, the negation of object limitation. How is this accomplished? Or to put it in normal language. Somebody is saying technical language and for us normies. Can you put it in normal language? And for us normies, it just means I see difference. How will I see oneness? This is the answer. So let's begin at that. The one who sees all beings in the self. The language there is what is called in Sanskrit adhara adheya, the ground and that which is supported by the ground. The ground is, suppose this table. This is the ground. And what's supported by the ground? Phone, paper. All of this is supported by the ground. My hands. Now what is the ground is the table and the phone is that which is supported by the ground. These two are clearly different. Now, the next thing we need to see is that when the ground is consciousness, then the objects which are supported by the consciousness, what is there in consciousness, are appearances in consciousness. Here, two physical things, one thing can be put on top of another. They're two physical things, they're objects. One object can be imposed upon another. You can put one object on top of another. In consciousness, notice, just look at our own experience. When we are experiencing things in consciousness, what's happening? When I experience a phone, when I put a phone on a table, there are two different things. There's a table, there's a phone, I put it on top of that. But when I put the phone in my mind, when I experience it, what is happening? The phone is appearing, it's being experienced, it's a content of a conscious experience. I see the phone. It's not that I actually take a phone and put it in the mind physically. No, that's impossible. What is the meaning of a statement like I see the phone? It just means light is reflected from the phone and it goes into my eyes. Just the light goes. The phone doesn't go into my eyes. There's 911 you have to call. What happened? He saw his phone. No, just the light goes into the eyes. And instantly, even the light is not there. It becomes electrical impulses racing along optic nerves to a brain center. And instantly, almost, even the electrical impulses are not there. Somehow, we don't know how. No scientist, no cognitive scientist, researcher, doctor, physiologist can tell you how that little electrical activity in the neurons suddenly becomes a conscious experience and you say, I see the phone. No, nobody knows. Just today we are talking with the Swamis that there is a How many theories of consciousness are there right now? If you look it up, you'll see. I strongly recommend this. Take a look. Somebody forwarded it to me. 325 theories of consciousness. There are, on some reckoning, 325 theories of consciousness. There's a video about it. An interview with Robert Lawrence Kuhn, who's been interviewing people for the last 20 years. He has a podcast called Closer to Truth. On YouTube, you can find it. So a map of the existing theories of consciousness, 325 theories. We don't know which one is correct. And very interesting, he says, clearly he begins his, it all starts with Vedanta. He says there, in the Upanishads of India, thousands of years ago. It's the first and most sophisticated, among the most sophisticated theories of consciousness that we have. Thousands of years ago, in ancient India, these texts called the Upanishads, he begins with that. Anyway, 325 theories trying to explain how that electrical activity suddenly becomes, I see the phone. There is no phone there. It is an appearance in consciousness. There's no doubt about it. Now, an appearance is false. That in which something appears, that is real. I'll repeat that. That which appears is false. That in which it appears, that is real. What do I mean by that? Even the word appearance has two meanings. Appears means you experience something. Somebody has appeared. I'm seeing. The phone appears. I see it. Another meaning of appear is, it's not what it seems. He appears to be friendly. Not friendly. There appears a phone in consciousness. Not a phone. This is what Vedanta calls a name and a form and a function appearing. So let me give a couple of examples. It will become clear. What am I trying to show? That which appears is not real. That in which something appears, that something, the in which it appears, the ground of that appearance, the basis of that appearance, that is real. First, I'll give the mirror example. Second, I will give the dream example. If I have a mirror, and this I'm taking again from Shankaracharya, those who study, they know Dakshinamurti Stotram. What is this universe? The universe is like a city seen in a mirror. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam. Like a city seen in a mirror. So if you are driving in your driving mirror, you see the city of Sacramento behind you. You can see the buildings, you can see the roads, the other cars coming, you can see the sky, people. But in that mirror, yeah, there's a city out there. But in that mirror, what you are seeing, in the mirror there are no cars. In the mirror there are no people or roads or trees or sky. What's there in the mirror? Mirror. It's glass. You'll say, but the stuff is there outside. Shankaracharya at that time did not have computer screens or movie screens. They had only mirrors. He had to take pains to point out that just see the mirror. Forget about the world outside. In the mirror, a city appears. Roads, people, parks, sky, fountains. But there's nothing in the mirror except the mirror. It just looks like people, looks like road and a sky. And so in the mirror, whatever appears is not there. Only mirror is there. And yet after knowing this, what will happen? It will still keep appearing. So, what appears in the mirror is not there in the mirror. In the mirror, what's there? Only mirror. Similarly, the claim is what appears in consciousness is not there. It's experienced in consciousness. Then what is there? What is being experienced actually? Consciousness itself. If you see a person in a mirror and you touch it, are you touching the person? No, you're touching the mirror. If you see a road in the mirror, you touch it, are you touching the road? No, you're touching the mirror. Similarly, when we experience anything in consciousness, what we are experiencing is consciousness itself. It just looks like that. Another example, same point. What appears is not real. That in which it appears, that's real. So the reflections in the mirror are not real, but the mirror is real. Similarly, a dream example. So suppose in a dream, we don't know we are dreaming. We are walking around in a park and seeing people and trees and the lake and people walking their dogs. And you're yourself there. And when we wake up from the dream, we suddenly realize, oh, it was a dream. What does it mean, oh, it was a dream? It means whoever we saw there, whatever we saw there, the park, it's not a park. It was the mind appearing as a park. It's not people. It was the dreaming mind appearing as people. It's not dogs being walked. It was dreaming mind appearing as the dogs being walked. The lake and the sky and everything, land, everything there was just the dreaming mind. Even you, in your own dream, the person walking down there, that body in the dream was also dreamt up by the mind. All that was there in the dream was the mind. Is it true or not? It's true. We all accept it. That's what our realization is the moment we wake up from it. We realize the mind itself appeared as 1,000 things there. But there were not 1,000 things or people there. It is just the mind. And the amazing thing is, in the dream, the mind is nowhere to be seen. It is people and places and happenings and good and bad and all of life. It just seems like a waking experience. It doesn't seem like mind. Yet when we wake up, we realize it was all mind and nothing but the mind. So whatever appeared in the dream was not real. But what was real? That in which the dream was appearing, the mind, the dreaming mind. So you have two examples now to demonstrate the point being made. The mirror and reflections. The reflections are actually not there. What is there is the mirror. The reflections are not real, mirror is real. Similarly, whatever is seen in consciousness is not real, consciousness is real. Dream. Whatever is seen in the dream is not real, but the dreaming mind is real, that which appeared as all things to itself. Similarly, whatever appears in consciousness is an appearance. The reality there is consciousness itself. This is the claim. And if we look a little closely, it has to be so. What else can it be? There are now scientists, cognitive researchers. Here in California itself, Donald Hoffman is there. There's another scientist and philosopher, Bernardo Kastrup, and a number of others who are beginning to think in this way, that whatever is appearing in consciousness must be consciousness itself. All right, let me give in to temptation and share with you one argument which I liked from Bernardo Kastrup in his book Analytic Idealism. He says, when you look at the horizon, you look as far as you can. You see land or water or something. You see the earth, oceans, etc. And if you go further and further towards the horizon, what will you see? Same earth or ocean, whatever it will be. But if somebody comes and tells you, yes, up to the horizon it is this land, earth, ocean, but beyond that is a miraculous something else, beyond the horizon. Only up to the extent that you can see is the earth. Beyond that is utterly something different. Heaven or hell or something is there outside. Just beyond that. You would be doubtful. Everything that I can see up to the horizon is earth only. And if I push it back further and further I go, I keep seeing more earth. How do I know that this theoretical, extraordinary thing other than earth is there? There's no proof at all. Exactly like that, he says, whatever we experience and can possibly experience is a conscious experience, is a mental state, is a conscious state, whatever you call it. You do not need to distinguish between mind and consciousness only. Whatever we are experiencing now, the fact that we are experiencing it is that something is appearing in consciousness. That's an experience. What's an experience? An object appears in consciousness. Whatever we can experience also will always be an object appearing in consciousness. Whatever we can experience. If you experience this world, it's objects appearing in consciousness. Objects appearing means people are appearing, chairs and table are appearing. If you peer through a microscope, you will find many things which you did not see earlier, you will start seeing. You will see microbes and all that. Still objects appearing in consciousness. If you use other senses, ears, nose, all will be objects appearing in consciousness. A smell or a sound will appear in consciousness. If we use extraordinary senses like, say, the infrared sense of a snake or the ultraviolet, I think bees can see ultraviolet, I think. It will still be objects appearing in consciousness. So any experience is objects appearing in consciousness. Now, Bernardo Kastrup says, if someone tells you, yes, all experiences are objects appear in consciousness, but beyond the horizon of your experience, there is something called matter outside your conscious experience. It's like that, saying that whatever you can see is earth, but beyond what you can see is not earth. It is impossible. There is no such thing, no such possibility of demonstrating something called matter beyond consciousness. It has to be in consciousness. Any experience has to be in consciousness by definition. Think about this, the receding horizon and the possibility that, then the claim that something beyond the horizon is there, which is utterly different from what you have experienced up to the horizon. That's a very doubtful claim, but that's the claim of matter existing beyond consciousness. Everything that is experienced has to be experienced in consciousness. Tomorrow you experience God. Will you be unconscious? No. In consciousness only you will experience. So everything that is experienced in consciousness. And that which appears in consciousness must be an appearance. It must be consciousness alone which is appearing in that way. Which is an interesting thing I've just said. If you see God also, that also must be the same consciousness appearing in that form. So, it's an appearance. All that I've done till now, I'm trying to expand on that one phrase, to see all beings in the self. If you see all beings in the self, it just means all beings are appearances in the self, like reflections in the mirror. What's real in that? Mirror. Like things seen in the dream. What's real in that? The dreaming mind. If all beings are appearing in the self, what is the reality there? Self alone. Consciousness alone is the reality. Do you see the chain of logic here? Consciousness alone. You, the conscious self, you alone are the reality which is appearing as all beings. This in Vedanta, which I was doing till now, in Vedanta there is a term for this. This is called adhyasa, superimposition. Superimposition. This is the famous snake rope analogy. The rope is mistaken to be a snake. The snake appears in the rope is the reality, snake is false. It's not a snake, it's a rope, though it looks like a snake. It's not different beings. I am separate from you. Different realities all separate from each other. No. This difference is an appearance. What's real here? That which in everything is appearing. Consciousness, that one consciousness in which all different entities are appearing. That one consciousness you are. This is the logic to establish oneness of consciousness. What did we accomplish in all of this? This is called Vastu Paricheda Nisheda, the negation of object limitation. All beings appear to be separate. Suppose in a mirror, all things appear to be separate from each other, reflections. But what are they all? Just that mirror alone. So the differences in the reflections are negated by realizing it's mirror. In our dreams, everything seems different from each other. People, places, dogs, plants, sky, earth. But when you wake up, they all become one. Why? They are all one dreaming mind. Similarly, here, in one consciousness, all beings are seen in the self. Sarva bhuteshu chatman. No, this sarva bhutani chatmani, the first phrase. All beings are seen in the self. It means they are not all beings. It is the self alone, you alone. Self means you. You alone, which appears as all beings. And how is this accomplished, this movement? By the idea of superimposition, appearance. That which appears must be false. In which it appears, that must be true. Now, if this is understood, with this, we go to the next part of that verse and that mantra, and that's a shocker. Which our entire, this logical structure which I built up now for the last one hour, it will collapse like a house of cards. Why? I'll tell you. The next part of it is very interesting. It says, Sarva bhutastham chatmanam. First you see all beings in the self. Next it says you see the self in all beings. Immediately this is a big problem for us. Why? We said, that which appears is false. In which it appears, that is true. Now, we said all beings appear in the self. So all beings are not there. The self alone is appearing as all beings. Now when we reverse it, the self in all beings. Now what is the ground? All beings. And what is imposed on it? The self. That which is imposed must be false. Then the self, consciousness becomes false. It is like the rope is the ground and the snake is the imposition. Rope is real, snake is false. Now if you are saying all beings, to see the self in all beings, what in means that the ground is all beings and the self is in all beings, then that which is imposed is the self which must be false. In technical Advaitic terms, adhyasta, that which is superimposed, is mithya, is false. In this way then the self itself will become false. Atman will become false. Brahman will become false. Satchidananda will become false. And all beings is different beings, that will become real then. What is meant here? What is meant here is a subtle point. Earlier we had said the oneness was established by showing the falsity of the superimposition, the falsity of all beings in the self. All beings are appearing in consciousness, therefore consciousness is real and all beings are false. Now it is reversed. Thereby showing that falsity is not the teaching of Advaita Vedanta. This is a very crucial and subtle point. We are often taught, what does Vedanta teach? Brahman is real, world is false. But it's a teaching, it's a methodology. The goal is not to teach the falsity of the world. The goal is to teach that one consciousness only. That's all. So, by reversing it, what seems to be implied here is that it's not that all beings are false. It's that one consciousness and all beings are one and the same reality. Sister Nivedita says about Swami Vivekananda, what is the special significance of Vivekananda's teachings? The Upanishads, Gita, they would have been there even if Vivekananda had not come, and by implication if Sri Ramakrishna had not come. What is the special significance? Sister Nivedita writes, this is the crowning achievement of our master, she means Vivekananda, that the one and the many are the same reality. The one and the many are the same reality. One consciousness and everything that appears in that consciousness are the same reality. Not that one is true and the many are false, which seems to be what Advaita is saying initially. But when you reverse it, it becomes one reality. One and the many are the same reality, seen by different persons in different levels of spiritual realization. So, this is the grand conclusion that we come to. That now you abandon that talk about falsity. Just stay with the oneness. All beings in the self in all beings, it means it is one unbroken reality. That one unbroken reality, you are. Tattvamasi, this is the teaching. You are that one unbroken reality. What it means is this. Sri Ramakrishna, his teaching, Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva, serve all beings knowing them to be Shiva. You will not say there that, I heard the Swami saying all beings are false. I only exist. There is no all beings. No, not like that. All beings are there and they are Shiva, which you are also. So you find the oneness of all existence there. It is not one real existence which I am and everything else is false. Not like that. That everything else is false was used to negate the object limitation. Vastu paricheda nisheda. After that, what remains? The remainder is oneness only. Not one real Brahman, one real consciousness and lots of false entities. Not like that. I remember Swami Nirmuktanandaji, Upen Maharaj was there. You have also seen. He was a disciple of Swami Shivanandaji, Mahapurush Mahaji in Belur Math. Very senior, revered old Swami. When this happened, he was nearly 100 years old, 99. He lived to be more than 100. So I approached him once. He was sitting on the bank of the Ganga, and those who have visited Belur Math, Holy Mother's temple, Ma Sharada's temple, he was sitting there. I asked him a question. Because I had a feeling that he's an enlightened person. How does an enlightened person see all this? Does that enlightened person see that one Brahman is there and the whole world is like a shadow or like a dream, or what's going on in my mind? The mirror and reflection example, the one underlying reality and everything is superimposed, that example is going on in my mind. Is it that one reality does the enlightened person see and the whole world is like a shadow or like a dream or something like that? And his answer was, he thought for a moment, just a moment, and then he said, no. In Bengali he said, ta keno hobe, eki ache, ektai ache. He said, there is only one. It's not that there is one Brahman and one false world. Brahman is real and a false world. No. There's one dreamer and a dream. No. It is one reality. One non-dual reality. This is the aktai ache. There is only one. And then I was reminded of Ramana Maharshi, the great non-dualist. He says, it is only the enlightened one who can say that the world is real. We think, after reading a lot of Vedanta, the enlightened one will say, oh, Brahman is real, the world is false. No. It's the enlightened one who can say that the world is real. What do you know of reality? The enlightened one knows reality. The enlightened one can say the world is real in what sense? He sees the spiritual reality, that oneness in all beings. That one the enlightened one sees. And therefore can say it is one reality. Ramana Maharshi further says, the universe is the expansion of the self. Universe is the expansion of the self. If you find out who you are or what I am, then the universe, you will see it is one with you. It is that same one reality. I have run out of time. I think it's better to do some question answers. Yes. So this was just one more observation, which is interesting observation. If you put together the first mantra and the sixth and seventh mantras, you will find something interesting. The first mantra says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. All idam sarvam. Just keep your mind on idam sarvam. It means all this. What is all this? Isha. And then in the sixth and seventh mantra it says, Sarva bhutani chatmani. All this is in the self. Now you have this equation. Isha is equal to all this, is equal to the self. God is all this. God is equal to all this, is equal to the self. In other words, if you remove the middle term, all this, then what does it become? God is equal to the self. This is the great teaching, Tat Tvamasi, you are that. That ultimate reality of the universe. And you, the individual self, you are one and the same thing. If you put together the first mantra and the sixth and seventh mantras, you will get what is called the Mahavakya, Tat Tvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, you will get that. Okay, this is just an interesting observation. Let me do a peace chant, and then there is a microphone right behind you. It's in front? Where is the microphone? Yes. Oh, he's bringing the microphone to the front. And those who want, you can queue up and ask questions there. Let me do a peace chant. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Please come. Tell us your name and ask the question. Others can also come and queue up also.
Pranams. Thank you so much for visiting us. So my question, I hope I can articulate it, but you mentioned oneness.
Tell us your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Vaidehi. Vaidehi. And so it has to do with oneness. And the word singularity, and I know there's different definitions for singularity, but I'm using it when AI becomes...
conscious?
Supersedes mankind. And, we don't know where all that's going, but you read about like man becoming more like a machine and machines becoming more human. So my question, I guess, is when do we know when we're surrendering our consciousness, our humanity?
Okay. So the lady who's standing at the back of the line, that's the last part. Yeah, you exactly. We'll take questions up to that. So we won't have time for any more. All right. It's a good and a deep question, not easily answered. It relates to the question, Can AI become conscious? Is AI already conscious? Is it possible? So there are different parties. And I was very clear that AI is not conscious, and it's not possible for AI to be conscious. And there are different views on this. I'm no longer so sure. I was talking to the Swamis and speaking with Swami Sarvapriyananda, I met some people working at the very cutting edge of AI, making these AIs, the head of, okay, I don't know if I can say these things publicly, but they gave all the arguments that I gave. They had very good replies for those arguments. So we have a nice back and forth. All right, let me focus on your question. Where is our humanity? And that's a very interesting question. Notice what was first affected by the rise of AI, ChatGPT. What was first affected? The humanities were affected. We thought that AI and all will come and make all our regular work, it will take over, and we can do things which are peculiar or special for human beings. We can be creative, write poems and songs, and be artistic and whatnot. Well, what does this AI do? It writes poems and songs, and it is artistic. It can paint pictures, make movies. All those things, this creativity which we thought were peculiar to human beings, that AI attacks that straight away. First thing it does is it replaces you there. The so-called our understanding of humanity as creativity, as intelligence. AI is creative. AI is intelligent. Maybe not in the way we are, but as far as the products are concerned, if you see the output. Yes? Today Swami showed me a wonderful poem written by AI about him. Very, very nice poem. And not only is the poem good, that AI can do one thing which no human poet can do. It can write one more poem like that, and one more poem like that, and another poem, and all day long it can write newer and newer poems also, which no poet in the world can ever do. All right. So if creativity, intelligence, let's focus on creativity. If creativity is not the defining feature of humanity, then what is? I think this is an irony about humanities. Modern humanities took pride in being secular. Last 100 years or so, 250, 200 years, reject religion. Nothing to do with religion. Human beings, speciality is we are creative beings. We are. Now this AI threatens you at the heart of your definition of humanities. And the result was immediate to see. The first result was in all the college and school campuses. All the departments, they were felt that students will start using AI to do their assignments, which they did, and they're doing now. Your essays and whatever, they're all written by AI. Students, if you survey the students, even if they admitted or they admitted openly, we are all writing with AI. So now, what is under attack? Humanities are under attack. A monastic friend of mine, it's not that the sciences are invulnerable to AI. A monastic friend of mine who is a noted mathematician, he's a monk and a noted mathematician, he is a little biased in favor of science and mathematics and little against humanity. Although he's a monk, he seems to be a little bit anti-humanities. So he said, I always said that humanities is not real knowledge. Science is real knowledge. Notice that AI does not do science, but it does humanities. It can write a poem or a story or an essay. It can digest your articles or books nicely, but try to make it discover a new theorem, or it can't do it. So therefore, mathematics and physics and chemistry, this is real knowledge, and your humanities it's not real knowledge. A machine can also do it. But now I realize this was 2 years ago, this is no longer true. Right. AI, many people have assured me, AI is doing pretty good science. Pretty good science. Mathematics also AI is doing. Now, answer to your question. So this is that what we thought, modern thinking about the human nature, that is under serious question now. Because the AI, which is not human, is doing all of that quite well, at least in its output. Then, now your question is, your precise question was, where does our humanity lie there? Is there anything exceptional to humanity, or will humanity be replaced by AI? Replaceable. There is something exceptional. Not just love. What is the basis of love? Or hate also? AI neither loves nor hates. Consciousness, yes. That is the distinguishing feature. So far we can see, at least up to now, AI is not conscious. Although it is intelligent, although it is creative in its own way, it mimics human intelligence, but it does not mimic consciousness. It does not have first-person experience so far. Earlier I would say it cannot have first-person experience, but after my interactions with some scientists and AI people, I'll say so far. The distinguishing feature of consciousness, of humanity, is consciousness. Why am I saying so far? Because by our very Advaita Vedanta, consciousness is an all-pervasive reality. If you can mimic the human mind through AI to some extent, at some level, then that consciousness, as it is being manifested in this body and mind, it can become manifest in an artificial body and artificial mind also. Why not? In principle, why not? That possibility is still there. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Pranam Swamiji.
Namaste.
My name is Rupa.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask, like, for a person who has not yet gone towards enlightenment, or who's still in that progress, and who believes and has 100% faith in the teachings of the Vedanta, the whole oneness that you just described. Other than imagination of this oneness, what can a spiritual aspirant do?
Very good question.
Because you will feel, you will see all the things, and you will say, okay, this is all together. And beyond that imagination, what can a spiritual aspirant do to progress?
Exactly. Very good question. What can we do to progress towards the actual realization of oneness? Not just talking about it. We were theorizing about it, but actually experiencing it. Very good question. And one word answer to that might surprise you. Service. Seva. What breaks down the barrier between me and you? Service. Unselfish, selfless service. Even the word selfless, the small s self, is the barrier between you and me. I am myself, you are yourself. Small s. But the capital S self, according to Vedanta, we are one self. The basis of all ethics is this oneness. Swami Vivekananda grounded all ethics in oneness. The common thread in all the major world religions is called the golden rule. If you Google it, you will find it. The golden rule is to treat others as you would have them treat you. I treat my others as I want them to treat me. To treat others as I want to treat myself. That means the other and myself, I have to see them as one. In the United Nations headquarters in New York, 3rd floor, you will see written on rock, actually there's a rock piece and it's written there, the golden rule of all religions, to treat others as you would have them treat them. It was installed by Nancy Reagan, Ronald Reagan's wife, first lady at that time. Vedanta gives you the answer. Why? Why should you treat somebody else as you want them to treat you? Because that somebody else is not an other, is not somebody else, it is you. According to Vedanta, we are one self. Now, what is our reaction to that one self? How do you live our life when we realize they are all one self? Then service. As we want the best for ourselves, want to take care of ourselves, we should take care of others too. Why? Just because we take care of ourselves. As long as when I'm hungry, I put a morsel of food into my mouth, I should endeavor to put a morsel of food in the mouth of another hungry person. That will break down the barriers of separation and prepare the mind very powerfully for the Advaitic realization. Therefore, you see, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga are not two separate things. Selfless service is a powerful way of becoming enlightened. This is Swami Vivekananda's special contribution to this age. Through action. What Sri Ramakrishna said, Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva, to serve all sentient beings, knowing them to be Shiva. It literally means that one limitless consciousness, that is Shiva. Where is that one limitless consciousness? Where is Shiva? Here, in front of you. All these people around you. Their masks which they wear. We interact with the masks. I like this, I love this person, I dislike that person, I hate the other one, and the third one I'm indifferent towards, fourth one I'm indifferent towards. No. All of them are Shiva. And they are that one limitless consciousness. Now how do I live? This is theoretical. But what do I do in practice? What will be the result of it? What will be the sadhana of it? Seva. So that is one word answer to your question. A very good question. Seva is the sadhana. Keeping in view that spiritual oneness. Because service can also be done keeping in view, I will get an award, I'll get the best neighbor, I'll get a prize or my Rotary prize at the end of the year. None of them are bad. But they are very small compared to this final spiritual award, that the self-realization as one Brahman or Atman. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thanks for the fantastic talk on oneness. My name is Srihari. Question that comes to my mind is talking about consciousness and the reflection in a mirror. You said there are 325 theories of consciousness.
Yes.
Right. One of the thoughts that came to my mind is all of this is also based on the person's intellect and cognitive abilities.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people in this world who may not have the cognitive abilities to explore consciousness in the fashion that we are talking about. So how does consciousness relate to them, or how do they explore this self-consciousness or self-exploration?
People are not equal in the resources they have, not even equal in the cognitive resources they have. I know from first-hand experience. Recently I was at a conference, private conference, with some of the most brilliant minds in the world. Some of the top philosophers, scientists, neuroscientists, computer scientists. It's amazing to be in company of those people. I was just telling the Swami, it's like computer language of CPU with higher clock speeds. So it's in the company of giant minds, it's like that. So sharp and so brilliant. A very ordinary fellow compared to those people. But still, the point is this. It does not matter. That is the equipment. That is machinery. Even the mind is a machine. We are all one consciousness. Even the person who does not have those cognitive resources. Even a person might be mentally challenged, might be economically oppressed, might be physically sick. Still, they are that one limitless consciousness. You are that. So nothing can ultimately stop your realization of that, its full potential of that. If not now, later in this life or in lives to come, you are that one consciousness and you will make it possible. First of all, being that one consciousness, nothing can destroy you. Bodies may come and go. That does not destroy you. These little minds, what are they? We are awake now, a little more Vedanta talk, you'll fall asleep immediately. Little bit of Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, everything will collapse here. That does not mean you, the pure consciousness, you are gone. Not at all. If you melt down a golden ornament, the ornament name and form are gone. But the gold is still there, exactly the same gold is there. And you are that. So there is absolutely no cause for concern or sorrow or feeling that somebody will be left behind. Only temporarily so. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Namaste, Swamiji. Thank you for visiting us. My name is Sudarshan. My question is this. So, when you talk about oneness of all beings, it seems like a great idea to meditate about. It feels, it rings true, but then it seems incompatible with corporate life, where you're expected to go and have a healthy ego, go and influence others and exert power and all the things that you need to do in corporate life. In some way, it seems like you do this meditation, you hold this idea, but it's not something that you can carry into your day-to-day work. Even if you thought about everyone else as Shiva, you still have to deal with people and form alliances and this and that.
Yes.
So how do you integrate the two sides rather than it being a morning meditation practice followed by the day-to-day life?
Correct. Good question. Is it practical in day-to-day life? Yes. I think that is the reason why Krishna taught the Gita in the battlefield. The worst of all situations is a battlefield. And if he expected Arjuna to practice Vedanta, oneness, in the battlefield while shooting arrows at the other one. Then it can be done in corporate life also. And if you bring this power of oneness to bear in your personal life, ethical life, family life, community life, and corporate life, and see what implications follow. The implications might be hard to implement in your life, but that struggle is worthwhile. And ultimately it's good for the good of everybody and oneself also. You just have to draw out that in this particular situation, in this meeting, in this issue, what is the implication of oneness? And can I act from that perspective? First of all, it will make you internally very peaceful. You will, even in a difficult conflict situation, if I know deeply, they and I are one reality, then there will be, as it says, there will be no hatred. With no hatred at all, you can still function. You can still, issue a rebuke when it is necessary. Vivekananda said about some workers who was working there, he said, for those fellows, I can give up my life for one of them if necessary, and for their own good, if it's necessary, I can hang them from the nearest tree. The good is our onward spiritual journey. What is good for me is also good for them. To the best of my ability. There is a consultant in India, Srinivas Venkatram, he put it this way. A belief, a commitment to the evolutionary potential of all beings. His definition of seva. A belief in the evolutionary potential of all beings. Everybody can be better than what they are, physically, morally, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. And I will try to help in whatever way I can. At least I will not obstruct. So this is a very beautiful idea. Thank you. Yes. Tell us your name and ask the question.
My name is Kirtana. This is my question. I am new to Advaita Vedanta, and while I am fascinated by the philosophy, I am not established in it beyond a lecture. This is because, as you say, the mind needs purification with karma yoga and devotion. I do find it easier than jnana yoga, but I'm concerned about falling into the pitfalls of conventional religion, such as separatism, supremacy, judgment, and being gullible. How do I avoid these problems and experience the higher spirituality that you described?
Yes. The answer is this oneness. That ultimately, if you are all one reality, whether you belong to my religion or my sect or you do not belong to that, whether you belong to no religion at all, you're still that one limitless Brahman. You are that. And we are one with each other. Therefore, there can be no question of competition, supremacy, religion, in a field of religion. So you start with that foundation, that we are all one spiritual reality. That will prevent, fights, interreligious fights, hatred, discrimination. Also, that will give you the light to do all of religion in that light. For example, a ritual, a puja, a devotional song. All of that is pointing towards that oneness. Swami Ashokanandaji, who was at the root of this ashram, he was a great Vedantist. He says in one place about puja, about ritual, conventional religion, puja, ritual, he says, ritual is concrete philosophy. The philosophy of Vedantic oneness, if you actually see the mantras being chanted during a puja, those are, you will find it, the same Vedanta is being used, but it is through flowers and chanting of mantra and incense and food offerings. So all the features of conventional religion are also explained by that oneness. How it is related to that oneness. Then you will see the spirit of religion, the inner spirit of religion, without rejecting it, but without falling into the trap of that alone is religion, that ritual alone is religion, that puja alone is religion, or that particular little belief is religion. No. All of those are helpful to realize the ultimate oneness. So the rationale behind religion also you will know. Keep that oneness as the centerpiece. Yes.
Pranam Swamiji. My name is Sarvamangala.
Yes.
Thank you for your gracious presence and your enlightening talk today. I was wondering, how would you draw parallels, because you talked about the various theories of consciousness. I am one of those who is eternally lost in all these theories.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you draw parallels between the panpsychism, consciousness of panpsychism, where it sees consciousness as the fundamental property of the universe, such as like mass, time, or gravity? So is it very much similar to the Vedantic, the idea of Vedantic Brahman that you so eloquently taught us
Let me
today?
just touch upon that point, and this is a big question.
Yes.
So this whole idea of panpsychism has recently been revived. Panpsychism is an old theory in Eastern philosophy and European philosophy also. The idea of panpsychism is that mind or consciousness, they don't distinguish. It's a fundamental reality of the universe. What do you mean by fundamental reality of the universe? David Chalmers, who coined the term hard problem of consciousness, he explains that in science, when you cannot reduce something to more fundamental phenomena, you cannot explain it in terms of more fundamental particles or forces, then you must consider that thing, that entity, to be fundamental, because you can't explain it otherwise. Similarly, he says we may have to see consciousness as a fundamental feature of the universe, because if you are unable to reduce it to brain functionality, then is it possible that consciousness is fundamental, not being generated by something more fundamental? Consciousness itself is fundamental. Fundamental means it cannot be reduced to anything more fundamental. And just like time, space, matter, energy, consciousness is also a feature of the universe. This is not Advaita Vedanta, not at all. This is closer to, say, Sankhya, a pluralistic worldview where Sankhya says consciousness is a reality and material universe is also a reality. Sankhya calls it Prakriti, Purusha and Prakriti, consciousness and material universe. So panpsychism is little closer to Sankhya. I mean, I'm taking in broad picture, I'm talking in broad terms. Advaita will go further. It will say, so consciousness is a fundamental part of the aspect of the universe? Yes. Then what is the relationship between that consciousness and everything else in the universe? Do they exist equally? Then in that case it's like Sankhya. Or is it that everything else in the universe, if consciousness is there, the fundamental reality, then everything else in the universe becomes an object to consciousness. And what is the relationship between object and consciousness? As we saw, objects appear in consciousness. If they appear in consciousness, they cannot be a parallel reality. It must be consciousness itself which is appearing to itself as the object, and therefore the non-duality, the oneness of consciousness and the object, it becomes established. That's the one argument for establishing non-duality of consciousness. This is the relationship between the pure consciousness of Advaita Vedanta and panpsychism. One connection. A lot more can be said about this.
And if you have time, how does that compare to Vijnana of Buddhists?
So that is again another different topic. Let's not go into that. But this just shows how much in ancient India these subjects were discussed threadbare. Almost all the positions being taken up now are found in some text or the other and some position of the other in ancient Indian philosophy. I just met recently a very well-known physicist, Carlo Rovelli, and in one of his books, Helgoland, he has written that my interpretation of quantum theory, when I talk about it, many times people have said, have you read Nagarjuna? And so he writes in the book. I decided to read. He read in an English translation by J. Garfield. And he said, I was stunned to see that this Indian philosopher, Buddhist philosopher who lived nearly 2000 years ago in India, his worldview, his explanation of what is the world in terms of interdependence, matches my quantum theoretic understanding of the world today. Not that that person knew quantum theory, but just by doing philosophy, he comes to the same understanding of the world which I come to today in the 21st century. So amazing that these such depth and sophistication were there. Does not mean that we should stop there. We can imagine someone like Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, Dharmakirti, Shankara, Kumarila Bhatta, if they were here today, would they not engage with science? They would engage with science. They would be very interested. Vivekananda was very interested. His dialogues with Tesla, scientist, not the car. There is a correspondence between Vivekananda and Tesla about the nature of the universe, about physics and Vedanta and Sankhya. All of that is there. So we are living in a very interesting time. Let us see where it goes. In our own lifetime, I think we are already seeing such amazing things. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.